What's up, guys? Happy game day. Good morning. It is 8:49, on Sunday morning, week 18. The Browns are about to take on the Cincinnati Bengals in just over 4 hours now, and wanted to hop on here for one final regular season preview video. I had to do it live. We'll try to get to some fan questions. We'll make it quick, but let's do a couple of bold predictions for today's Browns versus Bengals week 18. Irrelevant regular season matchup, but while it may be irrelevant in the grand scheme of things, the Browns are the 5 seed no matter what happens. If the Jaguars win today, the Browns play the Jaguars in the first round of the playoffs. If the Jaguars lose, they will travel to take on Houston. So you could feel however you want to feel, but I feel very confident in saying I'd much rather face the Jacksonville Jaguars in the first round than Houston. You saw C.J. Stroud last night. Man, that kid's special. That kid, that rookie, that kid could play. So I want nothing to do with him in the first round. The Browns could beat and should beat all 2 teams now from the AFC South, whether it's Houston or Jacksonville. But if you gave me the choice, I'd much prefer to play against Jacksonville. All right, let's talk about this Browns-Bengals game, though. I appreciate everyone who popped in here. Like I said, we'll keep it quick, 10, 15 minutes. I'll answer some fan questions, some viewer questions at the end if there are any. But let's talk about some bold predictions for today's game. I see someone asked, is Austin Watkins playing? I don't know, actually, and we won't know till game time. He practices with the team, but we don't know who's elevated or not. Till I would guess he plays, but we don't have an official word. My first bold prediction for today's game is that Pierre Strong rushes for more yards against Cincinnati today than any Browns running back has rushed in any game this season. Now, here's why. A couple of reasons. One, Cincinnati has the 31st overall rated defense in the entire NFL. They're 26th against the run in terms of your traditional yards allowed per game. They're 27th or 28th against the run, depending on which advanced analytics / metric you look at in terms of efficiency, success rate against, and EPA per rushing attempt against. This run defense is not very good. And all those numbers minus the second half of last week came with DJ Reader at defensive tackle in the middle. And he is by far, without question, their best run-stuffing defensive tackle. He's out. He's hurt. It sucks because he's a really good player. You never want to see guys get hurt, but he will not be suiting up today. I forget what injury he sustained last week, but I think it was pretty serious. So without him in the picture, an already bad run defense just got even worse. And if that's the case, I think there's a chance that the Browns can run all over Cincinnati today in this 1 o'clock kickoff game. Now, you may be saying, well, the Browns aren't a good running team right now. That's a fact. The Browns don't even try to run the ball anymore. That's not necessarily true, but the first part is where they're not a great running team. However, Jeff Driskel started at quarterback. And whether or not Jeff Driskel can play, I have no idea. We're going to find out today. He has 10 starts. He's been very average as a backup, as a starter in his career. But what I do know, he's only been within this actual system for a week. Yes, he has ties to AVP. Yes, he has ties to Drew Petzig, who he played for in Arizona, who coached under Stefanski. So he's familiar with the system, but he's only physically been within this system with Kevin Stefanski, with Alex Van Pelt, with these receivers for a week. And yes, Joe Flacco came off the couch and has done unbelievable things, but even Joe Flacco had 2.5 weeks of practice before he got thrown into a real game. For the most part, the Bengals starters are playing. I'm just not sure how much chemistry he's going to have with the receivers I expect to play, which are Tillman, Bell, Watkins. I don't think Njoku plays. I don't think Amari Cooper plays. I don't think Elijah Moore plays. So I just don't expect there to be a ton of chemistry. That's not even, if Driskel doesn't play well, it's not even necessarily an indictment on him. I think it's just kind of a situation where the players that he's playing with and the lack of time he has to develop the chemistry with puts him in a really unfavorable situation. So I think the Browns are going to run the ball a ton today. Like a ton. And I had this earlier, and I'm sorry, I'm going to pull it up real quick. The highest number of yards a Browns player has rushed for this season, I believe, is 169. And let me confirm here real quick. Oh, it's not even close. I was way off. Yeah, it's 107. Jerome Ford had 107 yards against Baltimore when Deshaun Watson went 14 for 14 in that miraculous comeback when they've only had 3 players eclipse the 100-yard mark this season. Nick Chubb in week 1, Jerome Ford in week 2, and then Jerome Ford again in week 10. Excuse me. With 107 yards being the most a Browns team has ran for, any Brown player has run for this season. So I fully expect, in my first bold prediction, is that Pierre Strong will break the Browns' single game rushing record this season. Not all time, but this season. I think he runs for about 125 and a touchdown. Second bold prediction comes with Jeff Driskel. Now, he's going up against Jake Browning, who up until last week had been right kind of in line with Joe Flacco in terms of these prolific passing yard stats that Joe Flacco had been putting up. Those were 1 and 2, Flacco and Browning, 1 and 2 for passing yards since Flacco took over the starting quarterback job against Los Angeles, which isn't that crazy for the record. Think of all the quarterbacks who are still healthy. And yeah, I know it's few and far between, but you still have Josh Allen, Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Purdy, Tua. Of all those guys, the two highest passing yard players in the NFL since Joe Flacco took over were Joe Flacco and Jake Brown, which just goes to show you how kind of crazy this NFL season is. But it's Driskel versus Browning. And Driskel is playing with whoever they throw out there at receiver. Browning has Jamar Chase. However, I think Driskel ends up scoring more total touchdowns today than Jake Browning. I think it ends up being 2-1. I don't think he necessarily outduels him in terms of passing yards and attempts, but I think he has more total touchdowns. And I think Jeff Driskel is going to run one in. I don't know why, but I have a feeling, and this, I could be so wrong here. This is just throwing this out there. If they get into the red zone, we're going to see some sort of wonky QB draw from like the 9-yard line. Or we're going to forget Jeff Driscoll's a low-key really good athlete. He ran a 4.56 in the 40-yard dash at the combine. He was the number one overall quarterback recruit coming out of high school. And part of the reason he was graded higher than the other guys in his recruiting class is he was a dual threat guy. And you look at him, and he's a bigger dude. Like, he's 6'5", 240. And you don't think of him as a runner, but he's kind of sneaky fast. So I think we might see one of the famous defense. He used to do this with Deshaun a bunch, where you spread the defense out inside the 10-yard line, spread them all out, and just run a QB draw. Not like an under center QB sneak, not a tush push. I'm talking a shotgun QB draw, spread them wide, and then have Jeff Driskel lead with a lead blocker ahead of him, try and pick up a touchdown from the 6, 7, 8-yard line. I have a gut feeling that's in the playbook this week with the limited knowledge. It's even tougher to draw up plays and build chemistry and connection in the red zone with these players. And we've even seen Joe Flacco and Cedric Tillman not be on the same page in the red zone. And they've been playing together now for 6, 7 weeks. So I just think it's going to be tough for Driskel to develop this red zone chemistry with these young receivers. So I would not be surprised if we see Kevin Stefanski tap into his quarterback's legs to see what he can pull out that way. Let's go to the defensive side of the ball. I got 2 bold predictions, and 2 guys in particular I think are worth watching on every single snap today defensively. Or 3 really. Alex Wright has 4 sacks this season. He has 3 sacks in the last 3 games. I think Alex Wright gets 3 sacks today alone. That's my third bold prediction. 3 for number 3. Alex Wright, 3 sacks to bring his season sack total to 7. Here's why. I think he's playing phenomenal football right now. Ogbo would be a tremendous addition to get back on this defensive line. It adds depth. But if you think about it, the Browns actually haven't had that much of a drop-off from the opposite Myles Garrett edge rusher position since Ogbo went down because of how well Alex Wright's been playing. He has 3 sacks in 3 games. He has 7 pressures in the last 3 games. He has 19 pressures on the season. He had 12 pressures all of last season, despite playing 200 more snaps last season than he has this season. So he's getting more pressures per snap. He's getting more sacks. He's putting more pressure on opposing quarterbacks. When you look at this Bengals offensive line, it's nothing to be proud about. This Bengals offensive line, even when fully healthy this season, had not been good. And now it's week 18, and not all 5 of their guys are suiting up. I think this is a game for Alex Wright to make a name for himself on a national stage. We know how good he's been in Cleveland because we watch him every game. But now he has a chance to come in as the bona fide starter, probably the top pass rusher on this team, considering that I don't expect Miles to play. Zadarius may play. I wouldn't be shocked if he plays, but either way, Alex Wright, I think, has a chance to finish the regular season as the Browns' second leading sack getter this year. Which, if you had told me preseason that would have happened, I'd be like, not a chance. We got Zadarius, we got Agbo. Like, no way. And right now, Zadarius has 5.5 sacks. Alex Wright has 4. He's 2 behind. I think he gets 3 today to finish with 7. Also, 2 things real quick on Myles Garrett and the sacks. In the chat, and I'll start looking at the chat in 1 second. I'll have it up right now. But put a 1 in the chat if you thought that the second leading sacker for the Browns this season, so we know Myles Garrett was going to be 1. If you thought whoever would have been number 2, Zadarius, Agbo, if somehow you thought it was Alex Wright, Shelby Harris, whoever you thought it was, would have fewer than 10 sacks. Give me a 2 if you thought that it was Myles and then another big drop off, because it has been incredible. So 1 if you thought whoever was number 2 would have more than 10 sacks. A 2 if you thought whoever would have fewer than 10 sacks. Because we did the whole thing all preseason. I think the Browns could lead the league in sacks. I think they could have 2 or 3 guys with 3 sacks. I think they could have a couple guys with 15 and up because of how many single coverage opportunities they would get. And you look at the sack leaders, and guys, like, the Browns defense has been phenomenal, and they've been getting pressure at an unbelievable rate. But you look at the actual sack numbers, the actual just sacks, the list this year does not look much different than the list last year. It's Myles Garrett, and it's a world of difference to number 2. I think last year number 2 was Taven Bryan with 4 sacks. This year it's Zadarius Smith with 5.5. Like, it's worked. So it's not a complaint at all. Not a complaint at all. I'm just saying I am shocked that there's not a higher sack number next to the second guy in that list, regardless of who it is. I'm just surprised there's not more, and it's worked. So it's not even a complaint. I'm just saying I'm surprised. I had no idea, and in my wildest dreams, I couldn't have expected the Browns to have a number 2 sack getter whose total is only 5.5. And Zadarius may not play today, so that could end at 5.5 if Alex Wright doesn't go off. So I'm just saying I'm surprised. Also, speaking of sack totals, I think I mentioned that what I just did because I think it's just a funny thought experiment to see where they were last year to this year. Their defensive line is infinitely better this season than it was last year. It's not even close. Like, night and day better this year than it was last year. But I am a little bit worried, guys, and this is a moment of vulnerability, okay? I'm kind of worried that Myles is going to get robbed of Defensive Player of the Year. I know. I'm sorry. It has nothing to do with Myles. I don't think he's going to play today. I don't think he needs to play today to secure the award. I think he's clearly been the best defensive player in football this season. I think the advanced metrics prove that his impact on getting pressure on the quarterback is far superior to either pass rusher in the entire NFL. However, a lot of the people who vote on these NFL postseason awards are old, longtime writers. And I am terrified that after TJ Watt had 2 sacks yesterday, which brings his season total to 19, they're going to look at 19 sacks versus 14 sacks and say, oh, this guy's better, and it's not even close. And that would be a travesty, a tragedy. Pick whatever word. It would be an absolute disgrace to what the award is supposed to mean. If you look at any advanced metric, Myles Garrett far supersedes what TJ Watt does. That's not even a knock on TJ Watt. He's a phenomenal player in his own right. Like, TJ's not a bad player. But when you look at the difference, TJ has 19 sacks. Myles has 14. That's a difference of 5 sacks. That's the same difference of Myles all the way down to Kyle Van Noy and Boye Mafe and Kobe Turner and Trayvon Walker. Like, it's a difference in 1 to 6 and 6 to 26. And I'm just terrified. I'm telling you, I'm just putting on the record. Miles should be the defensive player of the year. 1,000,000% should be. I'm worried that these old voters are going to get it wrong. I'm worried that these old voters are not going to look at anything besides the sack total and say, oh, TJ had 5 more sacks. He clearly was better this season, when that is not the case at all. We'll talk about it next week. We have a game to play today. I just want that on the record, that I'm officially nervous that because of TJ Watt's gap in sacks and what he did yesterday, and we all know it's the last impression, and I don't think Miles is going to play today, and I don't think he should play today, and he does not need to play to win the award. I just hope these old voters don't get this wrong. Hold on. Miss Nuggets is telling me to clean my glasses. Hold on one sec. Let me clean the glasses real quick. I apologize, guys. All right. Last bold prediction while I clean off these lenses here. Are 2 more guys to watch, which is, it ties into one bold prediction. But the Browns are playing their backup secondary. I don't think there's any chance Denzel Ward plays. Martin Emerson may play, but I'd be shocked if Denzel Ward suits up. I don't think Greg Newsome will suit up. I think we're going to see a ton of Cam Mitchell. I think we're going to see a ton of Mike Ford. And in the back end of the secondary, the safeties, it's Ronnie Hickman's job right now. Like, Ronnie Hickman is straight up balling. So let me tell y'all 2 people to watch. One, Cam Mitchell. And this game today is crucial for Cam Mitchell for 2 reasons. One, I think he's played pretty damn well in the limited minutes he's gotten. He was a 5th-round pick. Made some really impressive tackles. His tackle against Justin Fields when they played Chicago was one of the game-changing plays of that whole game when they stopped Justin Fields on that 4th down. The Browns have a decision to make about extending Greg Newsome in the future. And Greg's played awesome this year. By far the best professional season he's had. He has fortified himself as one of the premier slot cornerbacks in all of football. And he didn't even look terrible on the outside. He was serviceable on the outside. I just think he's better in the slot than he is on the outside, which is a very valuable trait to have in today's NFL. But they have to decide if they're going to give him his 5th-year extension this offseason. And at some point, guys, the Browns can't pay everybody. At some point, just because how the salary cap works, you can't pay everybody. And if Cam Mitchell comes out and balls today, maybe he's your 3rd cornerback moving forward, and you don't have to extend Greg Newsome, which would suck. But once again, you just can't physically pay everybody. It's literally not possible to pay everybody. So you got to make these tough decisions. Today is a legitimate case for Cam Mitchell to put on a show and see if he is essentially that 3rd cornerback for this team moving forward. You got Denzel Ward under contract. MJ's on a rookie deal. He ain't going anywhere. Let's see. So I'm just saying he's a guy to watch today and see how he plays as somebody who could potentially step up into a much bigger role in the coming years as the Browns try to navigate their future roster construction. And same for Ronnie Hickman, who, by the way, is the 4th highest graded safety in the NFL since he passed the threshold for minimum snaps needed to play. So he's played 278 snaps this season. You need 250 to qualify for PFF. And since that, he is the 4th highest graded safety in the entire damn NFL. Last week against the Jets, his 92.6 grade, the highest grade for any safety in football. Guys, Andrew, first off, how he went undrafted beats the hell out of me. You played at Ohio State. You put up numbers at Ohio State. You're a productive and prolific player at Ohio State. And you go undrafted? I mean, listen, didn't y'all already learn your mistake with undrafted safeties from Ohio State? Tyvis Powell, the prime example. How this guy went undrafted, I have no freaking clue. But guess what? Phenomenal offseason, an undrafted free agent signing here by Andrew Berry. He has been one of the best safeties in football the last couple of weeks. He's another guy. And my last bold prediction is he had a pick 6 against against New York. He's going to have a pick 6 again today against Jake Browning. I believe the Browns defense scores a touchdown today. I do. And it's going to be Ronnie Hickman. And it's going to come off some sort of tip pass. Hickman's going to pick it off about the 27-yard line. It'll be on the 2nd down play of the Bengals. It'll be the 2nd down play of the Bengals' first drive of the 2nd quarter. First drive of the 2nd quarter. Tip pass. Ronnie Hickman pick 6. Put it in the books. It's happening. He's been playing so well. He has a knack for the football. He had 3 picks in the preseason. He already has a pick in his professional career. Pick 6 against the Jets last week. And I expect him to be all over the field again today. Another player who gets a chance to showcase what he can do moving forward because the Browns just extended Grant Delpit. You have Juan Thornhill. You got to figure out how you're going to pay all these safeties. Or not pay them, but just play them all. You have so many good players. So it is a good problem to have. A very, very, very good problem to have. All right, so let's recap my bold predictions, and I'll run through the chat real quick and see if I can find any questions to answer quickly here before I wrap up and we get ready for a Sunday Browns-Bengals marquee matchup. But first bold prediction, Pierre Strong runs for the most yards any Browns running back has ran for this season. The Bengals' run defense is bad. I think the Browns run the ball a lot, and I think Pierre Strong breaks a big one. Second bold prediction, Jeff Driskel scores more total touchdowns than Jake Browning this week, and one of them is going to come on a quarterback sneak from about the 8-yard line, out of shotgun, empty set, right up the middle. Third bold prediction, 3 sacks for Alex Wright on the defensive end. He's going to absolutely embarrass the Bengals right tackle, who is not even their starting right tackle. I'm 99% sure their starter's out. Give me Alex Wright in this matchup all day, every day. Finishes with 3 sacks, 7 on the season, second most of the Browns this year behind Myles Garrett. And lastly, Ronnie Hickman, pick 6, put it in stones. And let me slide over to the chat here to see if I can answer any questions real quick. I appreciate everyone who tuned in this morning. I know it's tough to get kind of up for this game because it has no playoff implications, but we will see. Did the Ravens' loss favor Cleveland? No, it had no effect on Cleveland at all. They're the 1 seed. They get off. They didn't play their starters, so it makes no difference to them. I apologize. I'm looking off camera here. I'm reading some chat. Jay said, we didn't run versus Denver. Do you think Stefanski has learned his lesson? It's more of a belief in the fact that Jeff Driskel just doesn't know these receivers enough. And the Browns have to find out what they have in Pierre Strong, as opposed to trying to win a game that they needed to win in Stefanski's mind. So, I think they run the ball more today than we've seen in a long, long, long time. Now, they activate Watkins. He practices every week with them, so I don't know if he's active or not today. I'll be totally honest. And if they've announced that already, I apologize. But I haven't seen anything on that. Who should we consider if Schwartz leaves? We'll talk about that when that time comes. He said he wants to be a head coach again. He's definitely going to have some interest. His head coaching record's not great, but let's figure out DCs after Jim Schwartz is gone. Until then, I'm rocking with Jim as my DC until the day I die. That dude's phenomenal what he does. Steelers beat the Ravens last night. What do you think about that? I watched most of the game. It was ugly. Obviously, the weather was terrible. But the Steelers, man, how the hell do they have 10 wins with the quarterbacks they have? It makes no sense. Like, what the Browns have done is incredible, considering all the turmoil and turnover at quarterback. But the fact that the Steelers got to 10 wins with Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, and Mitch Trubisky, like, that's pretty silly too. Like, that's crazy. Like, legitimately crazy. Danielle says, Wild Eagle, let's make a wager. I'm not shaving my head if I'm wrong. Listen, these are bold predictions for a reason. These are not state your claim, put it on it. I'm not shaving my head, but I appreciate the thought. I'm going to hold Earl to shaving his head, by the way, if they win. He's still wacko for Flacco. We will be donating a bunch of memberships if the Browns win today and finish off the wacko for Flacco situation. 50 Cal says, where can I whoop your ass in hoops, Mikey? Ain't going to happen, 50 Cal. Sorry, my friend. Who else? But if I ever have an open spot and pick up and the guys who run let me bring somebody, I'll hit you up. Who else here? Diesel said, how is this game different than a preseason games when it comes to resting versus playing important starters? Well, in a preseason game, you have 75 guys on a roster, so you can sit everybody. In a game like this, you can only sit so many players. If you sit all the starters, it only leaves you 32 guys, which is not enough to field the football team. So there are going to be starters who play just based off necessity. You don't have the pure numbers to sit everybody like you would in a preseason game because the roster gets capped at 46 guys who dress. So that's more of the difference. I think Flacco's going to sit. Here are guys that I'm 99.999% sure do not play today. Flacco, Amari, Batonio, Ford, Miles, Denzel Ward, and JOK probably. Those are the 7 guys I feel very confident will not play or should not play. And everyone else is kind of up for grabs, in all honesty. They're going to have to play some guys just based at the pure fact that you can't sit everybody. You can't. There's just not enough guys on the roster to do that. All right. What else? What else? What else? What else? What else? What else? Anything else? Speaking of money, would you pay a quarterback going into his 4th year and is 10-27, but is somehow viewed as a good quarterback? If he's a good wins and losses are not a quarterback stat. So if I had to, sure. Let's see. Marquee matchup. No, it's not a marquee match, I'll be honest, but gotta sell it. It's a Browns game. That's all that matters. It's all that matters. All right, here's the thing. We had a show on Friday. G picked the Browns to win. Everyone else picked the Bengals to win. I actually think at the end of the day, the Bengals probably end up winning this game just because they're playing their starters. And for them, it means something. For us, it means nothing. But let me just say big picture real quick. The outcome of this game changes zero about how I feel about this team heading towards the end of the regular season into the postseason. It changes absolutely nothing. Literally nothing. So win or lose, we're going to be at the 2-minute warning show. Win or lose, I'm going to feel great about this team's chances against whichever AFC South opponent they play in the first round. Win or lose, I'm going to think this has been a tremendous, fun, unbelievably successful Browns season with more ups and downs than a roller coaster. And I hope it ends on a high note. And if it doesn't, we're not going to be sour at all. Not going to be sour at all. You know why? Because what they've done through 17 weeks has been unbelievable. They've earned the right. The Browns have earned the right to take this game off. It's a testament to Stefanski, to Watson, to Flacco, to DTR, to Walker, to hopefully Driskel. It would be dope to be 12-5, but it doesn't change your playoff seeding. 11-6 and 12-5 puts you in the exact same spot, going on the road to play the AFC South champion. We want the Jaguars to win today. If the Jaguars win, the Browns head to Jacksonville. If the Jaguars lose, the Browns head to Houston, and you can feel however you want to feel, but I feel much better playing the Jacksonville Jaguars. All right, somehow I said I was going to go 15 minutes. It's been 30 minutes, so I got to dip. Let's go Brownies. We'll be back to the 2-minute warning. Win or lose of all those 4 bold predictions, I feel very good that 3 are going to happen. We'll see you at the 2-minute warning show. Let's go Brownies, and let's end the season keeping Cincinnati out of the win column in the AFC South. Well, AFC North. Last thing, Cincinnati 0-5 this season in the AFC North. I don't want this to be their one win. I really don't. So let's step it up. Let's get a dub. Let's go Browns. Peace.